But now let's focus on elections, Roland. And we are talking about vote buying today. Will money influence who you vote for? Even if it's not money, let me say, because in our circumstance, it's not always money. And that's why sometimes it's so frustrating that something like a basing, a T-shirt, even we are told, can influence someone's decision. But it's not that trite, is it? If a fishmonger gets a basing, it serves a certain economic purpose for her. So it's not as simple as it may look. But we've been asking you that question: will money influence who you vote for?
I'm not voting for money. I'm voting for my country, so not for money.
So you take any money?
I will not take.
No, I'm not going to take the money and vote. And it's not going to be possible that somebody will give me 2,000 to vote for him. It's not going to be possible. You see, the vote is your power, so you need to vote for someone that you cherish, so that at least at the end of the day you get peace in this country.
No, I will not vote for the person. I will take the money, but I will vote against him.
Oh yes, why not? I'm working to get my own money, and if someone is to give me money, I will.
I think it's about time we put our selfish interest aside and then look for the greater good of everyone. I can take the 5,000 cedis, but how long will it last? But if there are policies that will sustain all of us, then we all benefit. So
you're not going to take it.
So there you heard some, responses from people on the streets there. And I wonder what your answer is. But we've been joined by Guildford Boateng Isiamah. He's a policy analyst with CDD. And they've been doing a lot of research on this, the issue of vote buying, and the fact that a lot of Ghanaians do not even know that it's illegal. I just look at that lady boldly saying that, oh, yeah, of course, I take money to vote. So let's start off on that note. Thank you for joining the show, Mr. Boateng Isiamah. In 2016, you released a report, and when I say you, I mean the CDD, detailing how many Ghanaians do not know that it is illegal to accept money, and that it was an offense and even punishable by law. Has that changed? We are in 2020 now. Do we know if that has changed at all? Mr. Isiamah, can you kindly unmute your Zoom? We can't hear you, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, great. We can hear you now,
yes,
sir.
I don't think anything has changed since 2012 or 2016. Obviously, we haven't been doing education. And once we haven't been doing that education for people to know, then we wouldn't expect that anything would change. So as you found out from the street, most Ghanaians still think you can go about and transact your votes, take money either to vote for the person or not to vote for the person. But so far as the law is concerned, whether you vote for the person or you do not vote for the person, once you take the money, you can be prosecuted for electoral fraud.
But, the expression vote buying often misleads people into thinking that it's only money that is offered for votes. But we know that sometimes T-shirts, even a pack of food, can somewhat amount to vote buying. Elaborate a bit more on the gifts or the items that may not necessarily, in the eyes of people, amount to vote buying.
Okay, so vote buying, you can look at vote buying from two perspectives. One is from the one who is giving.
Okay.
And one is from the one who is taking it. So one is selling and the other is buying. So you have a politician whose intention is to win elections. So they go out to the people and sometimes they have to offer so many things. So they give gifts, T-shirts, as you mentioned. It could be colors, depending on where you come from or where you are. It can even be fish, as we even identified in the NPP primaries that was just recently conducted. it can be so many things. Money is part of it. Sometimes it's even provision of infrastructure. So when a politician intends to win elections and just few months to the elections, they decide to construct boreholes and many other things, all those things qualify or can be classified as vote buying. So it's not even just about money or gifts. It also includes providing even fiscal infrastructure. Sometimes, close to elections, you have some politicians lining up people to register them for health insurance and other forms of insurance with the intention that these people will come back and vote for them. Sometimes it's even a promise. If you vote for me, I will make sure that when I get into power, you get employment. You'll be recruited in the security services or in the public service. All these promises and gifts and even provision of fiscal infrastructure amount to vote buying. So the category is very broad and it includes so many things. So far as someone is committing something for you to vote for the person, and you accepting or you also making claims that you do this for me and intend I vote for you, all these things qualify under the concept of vote buying.
That's quite interesting and very dicey. So what do we make of manifestos and promises then?
Well, manifestos are general policies and programs that a party has. And these are policies that they sell to the people. If you vote for me, these are the things that I will do for you. And it's the basis for accountability. So when they come into power, you expect them to perform and to be responsive to the needs of the public. So that becomes a form of social contract. And the provision of goods are not particularistic or it's not done in a clientele manner. This is provision of social goods for the general well-being of the community or the society. But vote buying usually attains the nature of particularity. So I am organizing a football game for the young men in this area to come and play. At the end of it, I give them food, I give them money reward so that they vote for me. That is targeted at these people for a very short period of time with the intention of getting them to vote for you or to reward you with their votes. Again, it could be you are providing this infrastructure within a short period of time. So if you want to roll out health insurance, why can't you do that over the 4 years, but just a month to the elections, you want to do this? What is the intention of rolling out this policy? You probably may not have spoken about it. If you had spoken about it, then people will be aware that you promised us this and we are holding you to account. So it's time for you to deliver. But these things are done in a particularistic manner, as I indicated earlier, that they target people and they also have the timing. They wait till election so that you will remember that we are giving you this for you to come and vote for us.
For some, it's not buying. They think that it is proof that you can actually deliver on your promise. What would your response be to that?
Well, it is certainly buying. It's more or less like any form of economic transaction where people go to the market and this is what I have in hand. How much are you also giving me? So it's not about delivery. When you expect your member of parliament to deliver, what do you expect him to deliver on? They have specific responsibilities, which may not necessarily be provision of social infrastructure. They may have to perform, they may have to represent you in parliament, they may have to pass bills, which may have consequences on your life. So we are passing narcotic bills, we are passing mineral royalties, and many other bills which have direct influence on us or on our children and our community as a whole. So delivery is part of it. And when you want to deliver, you should be able to deliver within a reasonable time or within the 4-year mandate and not just close to elections. And not just close to elections. Okay. And these have very serious consequences. That's why we say we need to be very careful about pushing all things close to elections, because we are in a country where after every election, we have a lot of deficits in our spending. We overrun our budget and we spend the next 3 years to go back and trying to get back to normal just to get into another election cycle, and then we ruin the whole thing. So it's a cyclical problem which has serious implications on the economy, on our own development, and on our planning. So what happened to planning? That you want to implement these activities a month or 2 or 3 months to elections.
Mr. Boateng-Isiamah, there's a bit about illegality and punishment thereof. We recently witnessed during the NPP primaries allegations of vote buying, even some candidates within the same party accusing their colleagues of spending so much, giving cash to candidates. Some received gas cylinders, television sets, and all. We haven't seen so far a single individual readily that comes to mind said this person has been punished for engaging in this, or this person has been punished for receiving gifts from a prospective parliamentary candidate or presidential candidate. Why is that bit lagging?
Okay, so before I even proceed to the punishment, let me touch on what you just mentioned about the strategy they use. So when people are selling votes, or when people want to buy votes, especially from the politicians, you clearly see that they either want to demobilize their opponents. So this happens in a way where you have a politician trying to offer more than their opponent. And sometimes when they realize that their opponents are also coming stronger, they go back and push more money in there. Another one is also to encourage, maybe to just incentivize their supporters to know that they are there for them. So they also give monetary incentives and other kinds of rewards for them to also go and then vote for them. So these are strategies. Before I even go to the law, let me try and educate a lot of Ghanaians. The only opportunity, if you are living in a democracy like ours, the only opportunity you have to make impact is through elections. We are in this country and you have your parliamentarians implementing or passing laws and they don't consult you. And it's very difficult to even hold them accountable during their tenure. And the only opportunity you have is within the 4-year electoral cycle to go and make informed choice. So when you sacrifice democratic accountability, which means leaders will keep watching whatever they do within the 4-year period because they know they will be held accountable. They will feel the pressure to perform well. When you sacrifice all these things just to wait for the 4-year period and then receive a box of matches or a matchet or just few thousand cedis whatsoever, then you are not helping yourself and you are not helping the progress of our country. So let me come back to your question about the implications of vote buying or vote selling. And it is an offense in our laws. And as you mentioned, a lot of people do not know. When you go through our Political Parties Act, you go through the Representation of People's Law 1992, even way back to the Criminal Offense Code 1960. Buying votes or selling votes is a punishable offense. You can be prosecuted. But unfortunately, when you have the Electoral Commission in charge of enforcing this regulation, there are so many challenges that come to play. I think the one that was recently mentioned by the former, the Auditor General who is on leave, is whether the Electoral Commission, even has the power or has what it takes to enforce this law. You have your commissioners who are being appointed by the executive of the day, and from what we saw under President Mahama and what we are seeing now, you always see the ruling party in bed with your commissioners or your Electoral Commission. How do they hold them to account? That is one of the problems. So I think maybe we need to think about moving the responsibility to a different agency and to an independent agency who can and will be able to carry out this mandate of prosecuting politicians when they are found for engaging in this act.
It doesn't sound as simple as that, because for some, the argument may be, okay, I went for a function, I played football or soccer, the MP gave me food, gave me T-shirt, but it didn't influence my vote. So how do you prove that? Don't you think that that is a challenge in the, dealing with it legally?
It is certainly a challenge, but I don't think it is impossible to deal with it. You have many other countries. I read of one instance somewhere in the United States where somebody contesting to be elected as a judge had people in the hospitals, and another person went there. The person was sick. And it became like, okay, are you going to vote for candidate A? If you are going to vote for candidate A, I know that we have shortage of beds, but I can't secure a place for you. So the person agreed, and then because he was in need, he went there, but later on they appealed. There are clear instances, and we can set examples. There are so many of them. There are so many of them. So some may be difficult to prove, but we certainly have others which are done blatantly. People do it, they come and tell us that is the rule of the game, even though it is illegal. So we can start with the ones that are easy to catch and punish and set as an example, and then go to the more difficult ones, which I don't think is impossible. It is difficult, but they are not impossible.
There's also the bit about a situation where maybe a politician is not willing to offer any item or money in relation to getting a vote in return, but the electorate is demanding it. In that case, what would you expect the politician to do? He needs the vote. He's trying to convince the voter that I will vote for you. No, I will fulfill my promises towards you if you vote for me. It's a dilemma for politicians who want to do, quote unquote, the right thing in this kind of system, isn't it?
It is certainly difficult, and I am aware of that. Politicians are sometimes caught in this dilemma. And it is the reason why we should educate people. People do not understand the implications of vote buying. People do not understand that when you sacrifice everything that you have to do and just take money from politicians, they may not respond to your needs within the electoral cycle, or they may do least of what you would have expected them to do, because now they have hooked you. You are their client. They pay money for you, and then they don't expect you, whilst they are trying to recoup their investment, they don't expect you to come and shouting, do this, do that, do that. So certainly politicians are caught in a dilemma which need to be addressed, certainly through public education. And I think it is one of the ways where we can get the people to understand. Again, some have also got to do with the lifestyle. And it goes back to the point that when you are living in a community with a person and they get elected, all of a sudden you see their life transforms. They are no longer part of you. So it creates the impression in the minds of people that these people go there to get money. They go there and the money is there for them to do whatever they want. So once they get the money, we also find ways and means to get what we need to get from them. Again, when you see what goes on in the primaries, where people are paid huge sums of money, and that is not a secret, people think they are also being cheated. So what do they get in return? So all these things contribute to the reason why community and other people also demand from politicians, or demand politicians to do something for them before they vote, because they have seen other people enjoying. So if they are enjoying without any consequences, then why don't they also, make similar demands? So punishing people will serve as an example, but also educating people will go a long way in reforming this problem about vote buying and vote selling in the country.
Thank you very much for your time. Gilfred Boateng-Asiamah is research analyst at the CDD. So in conclusion, Roland, people need to understand that vote buying is tantamount to the highest bidder gets the vote, which may not be the best person to rule the country per se, or to govern or represent you in parliament. It also means, like Mr. Boateng Esiama said, that for the 4-year period, you're likely to be neglected until a few months to the election, because the politician knows that, oh, if he just gives you some chicken change, you vote for him. So I think that that's my takeaway from this, and reason why you should not engage in vote buying.
Yeah, definitely. We're hoping that we can broaden the discussion further. And as we're in the political season, we'll bring you more when it comes to the elections. But we have to move.
Yeah, we have to go. But Roland, you know, you usually hear of a secular musician becoming a gospel musician, you know, like Yaosiki. We hear a lot of that, not even in Ghana. But today, Kadi is bringing us someone who was a gospel musician.
We're not going secular.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's called Maya the bass player. You don't want to miss that. Please stay.